So how do you make sure that people trust it? Because it is, I agree, incredibly powerful tool. I think, especially in the healthcare setting, it seems like it's like the perfect tool for the
Right.
healthcare setting in some
Mhm.
ways.
Yeah. So I think, trust is the fundamental piece of what we're doing. And if you don't build trust with your stakeholders, you can never be successful with AI. So what does that mean, right? I mean that when we build trust, right, we have to, I mean, let's just break this down because I think it's so important. And when we think about AI, right now we have a lot of AI algorithms that don't work for certain populations, right? Because they've been built with biased data, non-representative data. We've seen this over and over in the news and in the media about AI algorithms for hiring purposes, for salaries, and just how they go wrong. But so because those AI algorithms have shown to be biased or not worked well, they've caused harm in certain populations, right? And so when they cause harm, people don't trust them anymore. People don't want to use them. But more importantly, people don't want to contribute to them. They don't want to share their data, share their experience, share their insights. And so by having those algorithms not working and causing harm, we have this lack of sharing of data, sharing of engagement. And because we lack this data sharing and engagement, well, obviously the algorithms don't work for that population. So it's like a catch 22 where we've got to do a better job in building trust between patients and healthcare providers so that we can demonstrate that what AI can benefit everyone if we have the trust and the data and the knowledge and really understanding the societal impacts of the questions we're asking with these tools, the data we're using to develop them. So I think the trust piece is really fundamental to ensuring that what we develop responsibly and equitably. And so that's something we do a lot of work in.
Do you believe that, to develop that trust, it seems like a lot of it that at least what I'm hearing is that it's around being thoughtful, at least that it, not that you get everything right, because that's that's like an impossible task, right? But just
Yeah.
being incredibly thoughtful about it, and people can see that there is that the intent is supposed to help people, and your intent is not necessarily malicious or anything like putting down anyone, but it's to help individuals, and being thoughtful about that is something that you believe will help with the um, developing trust.
Yes, absolutely. And so and what does that mean? So we talk a lot of in the AI space about having, partnerships and engaging diverse stakeholders. But while we talk about it a lot, I still think it is a big gap in what we've been developing and deploying in the space. And so I think that even though we do all have the best, I hope that we all are trying to better everyone's health and well-being with these tools. I think it's important that we're transparent about how the data that was used to train these models, the questions we're asking, the community partnerships that we build. Because if I'm transparent in a lot of this information, I think we can better understand where a particular algorithm can or cannot be applied. Right. And so let me give you an example. So, Stanford data, for example, can be biased. It is a very special, not special, but it's a very, the population at Stanford Healthcare is very different from the general population in the US or in Canada or in other countries. Right. But what does that mean? Does that mean I can't use my data? No, not at all. We use our data all the time, but we're very transparent about how these models were developed, what types of data were included in their development, what populations are represented and what populations aren't represented. And by being transparent about that information, I think we really can foster trust and accountability between, developers, researchers, and the communities they serve. And so I would hope that this type of transparency would extend to, also how we think about education and training for, our not only our data scientists, but also our healthcare providers, our patients, our communities, so that when they hear that, AI tool is being used to, synthesize your information or to write this email, they understand, what are the pros and cons of that technology.
Great. And yeah, I guess that's the I guess that's one of the challenging parts is how, because there's so much information, and doctors, actually not just doctors, but everyone, there's so much inundation of just information, data. How do you help someone, I guess, understand it? I guess, is it enough just to be transparent and say, hey, here's all the data. You don't actually, like, it's out there. I'm not hiding anything. Is that sufficient? Or you did say, mention an education part, a
Yes.
component to that as well, right? I guess
Yes.
that is the key. You have to somehow disseminate and then educate as well.
It is because we talk about education is key to this, and we talk about like engaging communities and patients, but we have to be able to speak the same language. And when I say speak the same language, we have to be able to convey what we're developing or the tool that we're presenting. We have to present it in a way that is understandable across populations, right? And so, for example, for AI systems that involve complex sets and like complex technologies, we have to be able to translate that into a non-technical, dialogue, so that people can understand and be engaged. And that's hard, right? Because these are very complex systems we're talking about. So education, it goes on both sides, right? We need to educate our patients and communities to understand these tools, but we also need to educate our developers and our data scientists to have these conversations, right? And to how do we translate what we're doing into a dialogue that can really help with transparency and foster trust. So it's education
I-
across the cycle, right?
And that's great because that's